Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you're getting this. My name is Louis. Welcome back to Royal Productions. But if you're new here, basically what we do is cover crypto news and anything that shifts the financial market, and also a whole bunch of updates of what's going to be happening in the future with crypto, and looking at the projections of what these big banks and institutions say. So if you like that type of information, stick around, hit that like and subscribe, and also share with people who might also be entertained by this information. Remember, entertainment and informational purposes only, not financial advice. Always seek professional. All right, let's get into these markets really quick. So Bitcoin sitting at 71,000, and we've been covering that all last week, how it was falling, and it was sitting at that 72,000, 73,000 threshold. It just fell. Right now, Ethereum sitting under 2,000. BNB is having a little bit of a surge, 678, XRP 128 dropping as well. XLM is actually doing very well, 25 cents. Okay, and we'll cover some of that right now in a minute. All right, look at this chart. This is the last time I uploaded a video, so if you guys want to go back and look at some of those videos to see what we're talking about here, then you can head over to my page. All right, moving on. Citi predicts the tokenized security market will grow to 5.5 trillion by 2030. I love this because, you know, we've talked about this all the time, how this whole infrastructure is growing, and when it talks about 5.5 trillion by 2030 and tokenized stocks, this is crypto, this is blockchain. Okay, this is different from the structure of the stock market. Okay, so Citi is predicting, okay, remember, always read these articles on your own. If you don't know how to find them, you can go to Google, search it up, and then do the work yourself. All right, but basically Citi projects that tokenization of real world assets will surge from 17 billion market today to 5.5 trillion by 2030. And you have to think about that. Listen, they said it's 17 billion right now, and this is Citi. This is a big bank. They don't just, you know, say stuff out of the butt. You know what I mean? They actually mean what they say. When anyways, my point with this is, if they're telling you will surge from 17 billion to 5.5 trillion, do your own research and understand where this capital, where all this money is going to go. Which cryptocurrencies and which blockchains are they going to be working with? Okay, and as you can see here, a major market infrastructure including the DTCC, and we're going to cover something about that in a minute, so stick around. All right, moving on. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ether start June in red, while futures show a taste of risk, XLM and hype gain. So like I just said, this XLM is very important because the DTCC, I always do that with these alphabet companies, but Stellar XLM surged more than 40% after the DTCC chose its network for a tokenized security platform rollout, signaling a pivotal role for the public blockchain and Wall Street multi-chain tokenization strategy. So again, like I said, where's this capital going to go? Who are the DTCC partnering with? Okay, where are these ETFs going? Who's creating them? And that's up to you to do that research. Okay, but basically June kicked off in a red for crypto market as the US and Iran exchange fire and peace talks failed to translate into reduced tension in the region. But basically, I think personally that they're just manipulating this market right now. You're having certain coins surge, you're having a lot of coins drop, and a lot of people aren't aware of why that's happening. But if you look at these big players and understand that they're moving into the future, and hype is another one, we covered that last week, so go and look at those videos. But basically, these real world tokenized assets are going to mean something. Okay, from 17 billion to 5.5 trillion. A lot of people don't even know what $1 trillion looks like, or a million, or billion, or even 1,000. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, let's move on. Okay, Bitmain slows Ether purchase pace, buying 53 million worth last week. So basically, people are slowing down. You know, things are getting rough. The purchase pace slowed sharply from the previous week, from 120,000 ETH acquisition. So basically, it dropped from this much to this. Okay, so remember, read these articles and understand that there's something happening. But basically, it's just, I don't like Ethereum Foundation, to be honest. You know, they're working on tokenized assets as well, but it's just there's a lot going on, and if you don't know, then please do your research into Ethereum. If you're a holder, then by all means make your money, but just know that with the Clarity Act and a lot of this stuff that's happening, they're gonna drain the swamp. I think that's what he meant by drain the swamp. I don't think he meant the politics part of it. I think he means all the bad money that's floating around clogging up the system that's not real. Like we have these paperback gold futures and silvers, and we need to get rid of that, especially with blockchain. When we have an asset that's hard precious metal on the blockchain, and it is there because it's actually sitting in a vault and not just in the air and digital money, then that's how I think this system is going to grow, to the point where this real tokenized assets come onto the blockchain. But I don't understand how people don't see that. This market cap is sitting at 2.4 trillion. That's nothing. That's nothing compared to the global financial market. Okay, remember, blockchain is 24 hours. Also, blockchain is interoperable around the world. Anyways, moving on. I don't want to rant too much. That's for the Patreon. All right. So basically, Japan's ruling for party support crypto ETF trading yen-based stablecoin. So Japan's moving ahead. If you guys know anything about, like, so it begins and all the stuff that goes along with the XRP community and the calendar, we've been getting a lot of hits on that lately. Mr. Poole has been doing his thing, and he's been doing it for years, whoever it is. But we have to understand that a lot of these markets had to have been slowed down. They have to. The technology is just advanced. When you're talking about a credit card and debit card and moving into blockchain and digital money, like, that's pretty advanced. Like, you have to really understand it. So when you're coming from like a government like standpoint, you really have to slow it down, get everybody up to pace, and help them write the laws, because you can't write the laws if you don't understand what you're writing the laws about. And I think that's what we're dealing with here. But Japan should create a legal framework for trading cryptocurrency ETFs, the ruling Liberal Democratic Party said. So this is the Democratic Party on their side, while the Republicans on our side are pushing it. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't get really too much into the politics of things, but it's two wings of the same bird, in my opinion. Okay, but the rest of the world's moving forward, and so are we. With our Clarity Act and with the Genius Act and stuff like that. Okay. This is what I love about the future of money. Okay, so Cardano Summit 2026 canceled after committee votes against the foundation funding proposal. So in the community of crypto, when you hold some of these tokens, you become it's kind of like when you hold a certain amount of stock. Okay, but you get governance tokens where you're able to vote on certain things that is happening. But Cardano's flagship 2026 summit in Singapore has been canceled after Treasury funding proposal narrowly failed to reach the required 2/3 supermajority under the network's new governance rule. So if you're holding the coin, and if you're a bag holder, you get a vote, you get a say. You get what I mean? Instead of it's kind of good and bad, because if you have a major player holding a lot of this certain asset, then they get a lot of governance tokens or whatever. I don't really know. I don't vote. I don't care. But the idea of, say you have a city that's on something like this, where the taxes that go into this city, everyone who's paying taxes for that city gets a vote. Okay, not just that one vote, but based off how much taxes you give back. You know what I mean? I like that, because it's like, what is my tax money going to? Okay, I want to see new roads in this area, not way over there. But my point being with this is, it's not an isolated island type of thing. But why is most of like my city's money going back to the Fed, and then the Fed coming back and then printing more money, and then we get this whole conundrum of debt? But anyways, I don't want to go too far off here, but I love this. And basically it was shut down because people were like, nah, we don't need that. There's no point. We're not going to use the treasury funds for this. There's other things that we can use them for. And that's up to them. I'm a holder, but I don't vote. I don't really care to vote. Anyways, moving on. So US Congress returns as Genius Act's comment periods close and job report. So again, June 1st, today's the start of the month, and they like to do these rituals and stuff like that in these months in the beginning. But the Senate floor opens June 3rd to try again. Okay, what gets settled in those windows decides who can issue what reserves they hold, and whether yield survives. Banks have spent the past few months pushing the slow rollout. They fight over yield bearing and stable coins. All right. So basically, this is over the yields, rewards, and stuff like that. The banks have yields while the cryptocurrency has rewards or something like that, where it's like they get more from the rewards and yields and stuff. It's just weird to me. I like it because like my stable coin sitting on Coinbase right now is getting like 5 point something. So, why would I put my shit in a bank for? Anyways, my name is Louis. Hopefully you guys enjoy the information. And remember, always do your own research. Your mind is your crown. Understand the information you gather is either going to help you and others, or it's going to hurt others. Okay? And yourself. But let's take out these dates real quick. So we have the 17th, the Fed interest rate. So look at the date here. They do the date differently over there. They put the month in the middle and then the date on the left side. So 6/17. Then we got the NFC Summit 2026. That's 6/4. We just had the release of the GDP data on the 28th. So remember, check out these future events. They're very important. I love this site. It's called Encrypt, but it tells you the importance of the events and stuff like that. All the events aren't on here. You have to go out and search for an event if you're looking for it. But this is good to keep aware of. You know what I mean? Again, if you guys appreciate the content, hit it with a like, subscribe. Most of y'all aren't subscribing, but I appreciate it if y'all do. Peace.